Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, tools. But not just any tools, we're going to be talking about my wax carving tools. The tools I use to create my masterpieces. I also want to do more videos like this to help build this channel up to be one of the best jewelry teaching channels on YouTube. To help grow this channel, smash that subscribe button and comment on what videos you'd like us to do next, as this could be our next video idea. So in today's video, I'm just going to show you a basic setup for the jewelry tools you need when wax carving. So the first thing you're going to need is a bench to work from. Now this is my bench setup. As you can see, I've got the bench pin here. So let's get on to the tools I use. These are the tools you're definitely going to use when you're doing wax carving. Now this is the jeweler's saw. It's got a wax carving blade in there, which makes it a lot easier to use when cutting through the wax, because if you've just got a normal jewelry blade in there, it's definitely going to struggle cutting through that wax. So next is the file. This is actually a wax file, so this is perfect for cutting through the wax, but they're quite expensive. You can definitely get away with using a normal half round file, but you always want to make sure it's a new one, a nice sharp one, and that's going to make it a lot easier to carve through the wax. Another tool you're going to need is a measuring tool. This is a standard jeweler's calipers. You might want to buy a digital verniers, which are fairly cheap, and you can probably get these at any hardware store. So that's obviously to measure the thickness of the wax and basically give you a few distances, and also too you can measure, say, the inside of the ring as well. And talking about measuring the inside of the ring, it's going to be very handy if you've got a measuring stick. This is going to obviously tell you what size, the finger size. So if you're carving out a ring, this is the tool that you're going to need. Now this is a little bit of an odd tool, so obviously I'm using an old toothbrush. That's just to help brush down the wax. Obviously when you're filing wax, it's going to make a big mess. This is very helpful for brushing off all the wax dust. You don't need to buy these at a hardware store, you've probably got them lying around your house. Another tool that is one of my favorites, and this is my scriber. These are actually an old burr that I've just sharpened up, so I've got different ones with different sharpnesses, and this is just to carve out detail. I can scribe lines, I can carve letters, I can do all sorts of things. But this is one of my very handy tools, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. This is just a pin vise with an old burr that I've just sharpened up. You're also going to need a set of burrs. Now I've got quite a lot here, but if you're just starting out, you just need a few basic ones. So a big burr like this, and then you might want to go for a few smaller burrs. So maybe a selection of 10 burrs might get you started. So next is a selection of needle files. So you can pick these up at a jeweler's store, maybe online. Either go for wax carving ones. These are just general jewelry ones, but I got them new so they're nice and sharp, and they're definitely pretty good to use on wax. They're not perfect, they definitely do the job. You might not need these on every project, but they're definitely handy to have. A set of dividers. So the next tool I've got is a very fine file, and what's happened is I've actually removed the teeth off it and I've just sharpened it a little bit. It's not too sharp, but this is what I use to scrape the wax away. So it's not actually filing, but I've actually got a nice sharp point on there. And to get that, you can just like rub it on some sandpaper and remove the teeth and just give it a little bit of a sharp edge. And this is an awesome tool, use it all the time. Next up, I've got my soldering irons. So this is a great little soldering iron to use. As you can see on my bench, I've got 1, 2, and a third little wax pen here. But this is the main one I use. It's a great little tool, and it's also got the temperature controller here. You don't need to go for the bigger one unless you need it. This one here is a great little tool and very cheap, probably 40, 50 bucks. As I said, great little tool. This is another cool little tool, which is my wax pen, which is battery operated. I always suggest having rechargeable batteries because you go through them pretty quickly, and I've got about 4 rechargeable batteries, and I have 2 on charge and then 2 available to use. but this is a great little pen for doing like some really fine detail work, and I can't recommend this one enough. So the next tool on the list is the micromotor. So it's a great little tool. You've got the burr here. It's got a little control box where you can vary the speed from fast to slow, and it is great for burring out, shaping the wax. Another thing that is very handy if your eyes aren't very good is the jeweler's head loop. So these you can get online at any jewelry store. And the next little thing that I like to use when wax carving, it's not really a tool, but it's sandpaper. So this is 180 grit sandpaper, and sometimes I've got a little bit of 600 as well. I like to fold it up like this, and this will just sand away all the file marks and give it a little bit of a smoother finish. That's a basic rundown of all the tools I use when wax carving. There's obviously other tools that you can get, but that's all I need to use. I'm pretty happy with what I got, unless I see something else that is a must-have. But man, I can do pretty much anything as far as wax carving goes, just using these basic tools, and it's not a very expensive setup to do. So if you're wanting to do wax carving, a lot of these things you can pick up from hardware stores. I'm going to put a link down below where you can find these tools, and yeah, thanks for watching. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, and you might want to check this video out next.